Welcome to Theragape. Feeling stuck in the divorce process or about the divorce overall? In this community, Manzi shares personal tips from personal experiences to help you thrive and live life to the fullest.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Theragape. This is your host, Manzaler Lohrey, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about divorce and children. I've had some questions asked in my past marriage. We didn't have any children together. I had a son from a previous relationship. And at that time he was already a teenager, well, maybe even a young adult. And so we didn't have any issues with that. For those of you who have children, I would say use common sense. For example, if there is any abuse that was in that relationship, whether it was physical or sexual, then of course that's something you may want to report, so that if you want to have your children full-time because of that, then that's something that your lawyer or your state or county can decide on. So I am not an expert in that area because, again, personally I didn't have any children. But let's just use common sense. If your children were abused, if they were neglected, if they didn't have their medical needs, their physical needs met, if they were deprived of education, speaking of places where that is a must or where it's necessary, then of course you want to make sure that the proper authorities know of that. If you are in a place where you have a great relationship and you want to decide on, maybe every other weekend or every 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and the holidays, please go ahead and do that. But make sure that you're not using your children really as a means to either tell lies or to hurt your partner. Because at the end of the day, these are your children and they do get older, they do grow older, and they remember things. So you don't want to start planting seeds of evil, seeds of malice, seeds of, just lies and just false information, because they're just not your children. These are also citizens of your country, citizens of the world. And so if you start planting seeds of malice, it's not just going to stay between you and your spouse or soon to be ex-spouse. They're going to take that to their workplace. They're going to take that to summer camp or in school. And so just make sure that you are being honest about what the situation is regarding your children. If there was neglect, then there was neglect. If there was abuse, then that's what it is. But we're not making up stories because we want to punish the other person. Also, I would say, please do not use the kids as your means of information, or who was daddy with, or who was mommy with, who came by the house, what were they doing. Sometimes kids will just say, will talk, because that's what kids do. They might say, Uncle Johnny came over today, and then yesterday Uncle Anthony came, or Susie was there today, but then Dad said he's going to bring Angie tomorrow. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that do not use your children as a means of gaining information. They are not your secretary of information. They are your children. All right? So those are the two things I would share. Be very responsible when it comes to your children. And make sure, as a parent, if you say that you're going to pick them up at a certain time, please do that. If you promise your children that you will be going to Chuck E. Cheese's or you will be doing something fun, make sure that if something changed, that you let them know. I learned early on from my son, even before I was married to my ex, like I said, that was not his biological. My son, I don't know, sometimes I wonder if they swapped babies. I'm just playing. They didn't, but because I can be flexible. But for my son, he had to know everything. And so I learned the hard way not to tell him too many things, things that could fluctuate. For example, if I was going to the pharmacy and then I had plans to maybe go to the farmer's market, I started by saying, I'm going out. And he would say, well, where are we going? Where are we starting? And I would say, we would start wherever I parked the first time. After we leave the house, if I park at this place, that's where we're going. Because I learned in the past, if I said we were going to Auntie Zoe's house, Auntie Wu's house, and I went to Walgreens, which is a pharmacy here in America, he would say, well, you said we're going to Auntie's house. Now how come we are at the pharmacy? And now I had to explain that sometimes in life you had to be like a rubber band, and you can't do that stuff with 5-year-olds. So I decided very very early on, after I think it was 2 incidences. I didn't learn the first time that you want to come with. Where are we going? I'm not telling where we're going. If you want to come, let's go. But when we get there, we get there. And over the years, he learned to be flexible. Some things he's still a stickler, which, you know, it's not a bad thing. But other things, we still laugh about it till today. So if you're picking up your children at 5 p.m., at 2 p.m., be courteous to your spouse, your soon-to-be ex, that, you know, you're running late, something's changed. Do they mind having the kids for another hour or two? Whatever you're doing, you know, stop all the bickering and being spiteful. You were once in love. You know, it's not working. It's not working. We don't have to be disrespectful. We don't have to be dishonoring, because remember, it's not just in this relationship. If you are being dishonoring, if you are being dismissive, that is really a part of your character that you need to work on. You can't say, well, she made me do this or he made me do this. Maybe this situation is bringing to light some things that you and I need to work on, and it's not a bad thing. All right? So use common sense about your kids' needs. Talk to the court system about any abuse, any neglect, any abandonment. Be responsible about picking up your children when you need to. Have a great discussion on what we're doing. Some people are really difficult to work with. I understand. That would be where you would see what works in your state, because having children and going through a divorce, it's a family issue, but it's also a legal matter as well.